Moving on now to assignment 2 for computer architecture. Assignment 1 was discussed in detail in a previous video. In this video, I'm going to be looking at assignment 2 for computer architecture. So looking at assignment 2 now, looking at the instructions, assignments must be typed unless otherwise specified. So this part is the same as assignment 1. Referencing rubric, we have discussed previously, a maximum of 10% can be deducted if you have reference, but there's a problem with your referencing. Now let's look at the questions in assignment 2. This is the correct version, 2024. Yes. First, I'm going to skim through and see how many questions. There's question 1, question 2 on case components, question 3 on computing devices, and then question 4 also on computing devices. So I can see in this assignment there are 4 questions. So let's understand each question now. In question 1, taking a computer apart and putting it back together. In assignment 1, you were tasked to write a report on the safety procedures, tools to use, and environmental concerns when you are working on a computer system. For assignment 2, to further demonstrate your knowledge to your ICT manager has asked you to compile a tutorial that will be used by interns to understand how to assemble and disassemble a system. Now, a tutorial is like a document that you're going to use if you don't know how to assemble or disassemble. You need some instructions. So this tutorial is like the instructions that you are creating for any new person that needs to know how to assemble and disassemble computers. The tutorial must have the following layout. Introduction describes the purpose of this tutorial. If you are unsure about how to do a tutorial, watch any video from YouTube, which is a tutorial, and they will tell you, in this video, I'm going to do A, B, and C. Then they will tell you how to do it. Then they will summarize and say, this is what we did in this video. So if I'm looking at this tutorial now, it says introduction, describes the purpose of the tutorial. What is the purpose of this tutorial? The purpose of this tutorial is to describe how to assemble and disassemble computer systems, whether they're a laptop or a desktop, okay? Disassemble a systems unit. So systems unit, we're speaking specifically about a desktop here. Define or explain the topic, okay? Provide a detailed explanation and give examples of the topic, disassembly and assembly of components. Provide a brief conclusion. So in defining or explaining the topic, what is the topic? Assembling or disassembling computer components. In assembling and disassembling of computer components, there are certain safety precautions that we need to be aware of. There are tools that we are going to be using, and there's environmental concerns that we need to be aware of that was discussed in assignment 1. In this tutorial, we are going to look at instructions on how to assemble and disassemble the PC, okay? So here, provide detailed explanation and give examples of the topic assembly and disassembly of the components. This is going to tell us now, when you want to disassemble a computer, what are the things that you need to do in order for you to take the computer apart. In other words, you need to unplug the computer from the power source. You need to ensure the computer has been switched off. You then need to ensure that you have the correct tools, the correct environment, and you are following the correct safety procedures. You then take apart the case cover. You then start taking apart the components in the order that is described to you in your textbook. And then you conclude by talking about what has this tutorial demonstrated or helped you to accomplish. So what is question one? It's a tutorial. What does the tutorial tell me how to do? How a computer. So it's a written tutorial that's meant for which audience? For any person that is new, that's an intern. Let's look at the second question. Question 2 is on Learning Unit 2 on case components. It's for 40 marks. In assignment 1, you were tasked to choose between a laptop or a desktop computer as a birthday gift for your family member. From your selected birthday gift, you had to identify 4 components that support your choice and why you chose that particular gift, computer or laptop. You were tasked to write a report to show your knowledge in identifying the different components of a laptop or a desktop. The report was discussing the following questions for each component. Name and image of the component, a brief description of the component, a brief description of how the component works, and a brief benefits of using of the component for the system. Now, in assignment 2, use the components that you identified in assignment 1 to write a report on explaining how to troubleshoot each component and identify common computer system problems. Component 1, I identified the CPU. Explain how you would troubleshoot the CPU. The computer does not want to come on. Maybe there's a cooling problem with the CPU. I will then look under my CPU in my textbook to see what are the potential problems that could point to a faulty CPU. And then I will say, okay, the CPU can cause these problems. The computer to reboot unexpectedly. The computer does not want to switch on. The computer switches off for no reason. Any of the other concerns that you might come across. And then you would also describe how to fix that problem. So you are writing a report on how would you find out if the CPU is the problem, and then how to correct that problem. And you're given 8 marks to do that for each of 4 components, and then to identify common computer problems, system problems. So here again, it's a report, but we are building on assignment 1 where we identified the component. Here we are looking if the component is not working correctly, what to do to fix this component. Question 3, 25 marks. Unit 3, computing devices. You're an intern at an ICT department. You have been tasked to come up with a table with common laser printing problems and how to troubleshoot them. In your table, identify 5 problems and briefly discuss how you would be troubleshooting each problem. Now, they specifically mentioned that I want to come up with laser printing problems, right? We will be learning about different types of printers: inkjet printers, laser printers, dot matrix printers, thermal printers, etc. For laser printers, there are specific problems that can occur in the laser printing process. Example of a laser printing problem would be the computer comes out, the printout comes out, but the image is not fixed on the page, right? In other words, the image is smudged or it is not fixed onto the page. There's a problem with the fuser, meaning the ink was not heated with high enough temperature and pressure so that it melted and bonded to each other and fused to the paper. Got it? So this is an example of a laser printing problem. If you tell me a problem with the print head getting too hot, that's a dot matrix type of problem, right? Got nothing to do with laser printing problems. So be specific about the printing problems that are associated with a laser printer. So identify 5 of these problems and describe how you're going to fix those problems. So this is question 3. Finally, for 10 marks, we've got question 4 on Learning Unit 3 on computing devices. Your ICT manager has tasked you to support a client with a laptop problem that has the following: flicking, dim, or poor video problem. So you're working with a laptop computer, and what is the problem with the laptop? It has a flicking, dim, or poor video problem. Discuss the problems that result from flicking, dim, or poor video in laptops. Now, this requires some research. It should be covered in Learning Unit 3. You can also do some additional research here as well to see what could be causing these problems. Remember, in each of these, you need to reference your work correctly and you need to give an example. So any answer will have an introduction. It will explain how to answer the question or answer the question, and then it will tell me how you have answered the question. So write full sentences and complete sentences that answer the questions fully. Pay attention to the mark allocation. If you've got 10 marks and you write 1 point, you get 1 out of 10. If you've got 10 marks and you write 10 points, you get 10 out of 10. If you got a 10-mark question and you write 10 pages of information, you will get penalized for that, right? So I am not going to sift through 10 pages of information to find 10 marks for you, right? You will either fail that question or you will be penalized for plagiarism, right? Plagiarism means you have copied and pasted other people's work, or you have not referenced their work correctly, or you've taken their work and you have submitted it as if it's your work. If you've taken 10 pages to answer a 10-mark question, right, surely that information has been copied and pasted from some website, from some AI tool, etc., right? So very, very important. Pay attention to the mark allocation and give in point form, but not just bulleted points. You need to explain. It needs to be a full, complete answer. So we'll be closer to the time, we'll give you examples of how to answer these questions. But for now, these explanations should be sufficient. And remember, you are getting feedback from your group, from your study buddy, and from myself in class as well. So those are the 4 questions that makes up assignment 2 for computer architecture. Next, we're going to be discussing your summative assessment or assignment 3 for computer architecture.